Hey guys, Victor here again, coming at you with another retro deck profile for the September 2011 format. And today's focus is going to be on Dragunity, which is a very synchro heavy deck that pretty much just aims to spam out level 8 synchros as often as possible. But even though it does sound simple in theory, there are a lot of really cool and somewhat complex combos that you can go around with this deck. So yeah, with that out of the way, let's just jump straight into the deck profile. So kicking off the monster lineup, we're going to be playing 3 Dragunity Dux, and along with that, we're going to be playing 3 Dragunity Phalanx. When it comes to Dragunities, especially in this era, you need to be playing 3 of each because this is literally your main combo, and you want to open these cards as often as possible in order to discard them as soon as you can. So, and if you don't know what the combo is, it's really simple. You just go normal summon Dux, equip Phalanx. Phalanx special summons itself because it's equipped to a monster. Then you synchro for 6, usually Vajrayana. And then Vajrayana's effect is just like Dux's, so it puts Phalanx back as an equip to it. And then Phalanx will once again summon itself. And then from there, you can go straight into a level 8. And if you're going first, typically you want to make Stardust Dragon. But there are a couple other options that you can make that does get value out of this card. So, it's honestly up to you, but typically, as like the meme says, this deck really is just Stardust Dragon Turbo, but yeah. Easily, these cards are the heart and soul of the deck, so 3 of each, pretty much staple. And then for the other set, we're going to be playing 2 Dragunity Legionnaire, along with 2 Dragunity aklys. These cards are a little bit different, because this is going to be like one of your main forms of removal, because Legionnaire, what it does is you can send one spell or trap card you control to the graveyard to target a face-up monster, and you're able to destroy that card. So whatever you equip does become a face-up, or does become a spell or trap, so you can send that. And what Dragunity Aklys does is when this card is sent to the graveyard while equipped to a monster, you can select one card on the field and destroy it. So you get Legionnaire's effect to destroy a monster, and then you get Aklys's effect to destroy any card. And yeah, they're just really good together. And then Aklys has another cool effect where, say, for example, you have no way to get a Dragunity monster into your graveyard to equip like a Phalanx or Aklys, right? So you can normal summon this card, and then you can special summon a Dragunity monster from your hand, and then you equip it with this. So it's pretty cool because even if you have like nothing, but you open these two, you can go Aklys, special Legionnaire, Legionnaire gets equipped with Aklys, and then you can still pop your opponent's cards. So yeah, just little things like that go a long way in helping you break your opponent's board and helping you win the game. And then we're also going to be playing 2 Dragunity Arma Mystletainn. This card's cool because it's basically your insurance if you get Effect Veiler. Because if you get Effect Veiler, you can just tribute your Dux or your Legionnaire, right? And then you special summon this, and then you typically want to equip like a Phalanx to it so that you can go straight into a level 8 monster. But it's not always going to happen, but just having this card as insurance for Veiler, which is extremely popular in this format, goes a long way. And then it being like a 2100 beat stick that's fairly easy to summon is actually really cool too, because there are a lot of decks that do struggle just to out this card alone, since the power level of cards in this format isn't really all that high yet. And typically they only have 1900 attack at most in the form of like Thunder King Ryo, which this card does like out, I guess, in a sense. But yeah, only 2 of this. And that's it for the Dragunity monsters, but we're not done with all the monsters yet. We're also going to be playing the 2 Max C because it's Max C, the 2 Effect Veiler because it's Effect Veiler, and then something that's a little bit more on the random side is we're going to be playing 1 Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon, 1 Red Eyes Wyvern, and 1 Quackimiru Drago. These cards are cool because we're going to be playing like a small Future Fusion engine. As you know, spoiler alert, we are going to be playing Future Fusion in this deck, which is something that isn't normally done because Future Fusion is able to get all our low-level tuners into the grave. And so we can also send the Wyvern and the Darkness Metal Dragon. So what we're able to do is use Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragons basically just to keep bringing back our level 8 or level 6 Synchro monsters. So if you have like a Stardust Dragon in the grave, you can bring it back with Red Eyes Darkness Metal. And even if you don't have like a Stardust or something in the grave, there's still plenty of other Synchro monsters. Or you can bring back Quackimiru Drago, or Dragunity Arma Mystletainn, which is still like a 2100 beat stick, which shouldn't be like, automatically discounted. And then we play the 1 Wyvern just to get it back and try to get most of the value possible out of Future Fusion. And then the 1 Quackimiru Drago, which is like a cool little tech, because as stated in the Disaster Dragon profile, there is a lot of decks that rely on light and dark monsters in order to accomplish their game plans, whether it's Tengu Plant, agents, even decks like TG to an extent rely on dark monsters like Warwolf to get their plays off. So this card is a big help in helping you, be able to stun your opponent and win the game. Just be aware that cards like Dux and Legionnaire, they are wing beasts. So if you have one of those cards in hand, but nothing else, the Quackmiru Dragon will get destroyed during the end phase. So make sure you have one of those small tuners like aklys or phalanx or mystletainn or something like that in order to make sure that this card is actually able to survive. And with that, that's the monster lineup, and now we can finally move on to the spell portion of the deck. When it comes to the spell portion of the deck, we're going to be starting off the list with 3 Terraforming, and that's because we max out on this card just to be able to access our Dragon Ravine, which is by far the most important card of the deck because it literally does everything. So by discarding one card, you can either add a level 4 or lower Dragunity monster from your deck to your hand, or you can foolish any dragon monster from your deck to the graveyard. So this card does, first off, it discards any unwanted cards or tuners that you don't want in your hand into the graveyard. So it pretty much automatically makes your Duxes and your Legionnaires live. And then whatever you add is typically going to combo with other cards in your hand. And even if you've bricked and you've opened, say, only like a Red Eyes Wyvern or a Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon and nothing else, you can discard that and then foolish the other piece that you need, and then during the end phase, you can banish the Wyvern to special summon back the Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon. And just little plays like that go a long way in helping you win the game against your opponent. And then we're also going to be playing 2 cards of Consonance. This card's insane. You discard 1 Dragon-type tuner with 1,000 or less attack to draw 2 cards, and it pairs really well with Dragon's Ravine, which can get you your phalanxes and your aklyses, which both meet the criteria of being a Dragon-type tuner with 1,000 or less attack. So, yeah, this is probably the only change that I would make. I constantly go back on if I want to play 2 or 3, but I feel like 2 is just the sweet, like the sweet number. You don't need it to be more than this, but it doesn't hurt either, because just being able to fill up your graveyard and getting 2 free draws is honestly huge for this deck. And then after that, we play the 2 Mystical Space Typhoon and the 1 Heavy Storm. Backer removal is really important in this deck because this deck 100% folds to any kind of trap deck. And even if it's not like a trap heavy deck, let's just say it's like a normal mid-range deck, there's still like a lot of cards that just stop this deck completely, like Bottomless, Compulse, Torrential, Solemn Warning, Solemn Judgment, etc. So we want to be able to clear those boards before we actually commit our resources to the board. And then for the other spells, we are of course playing Dark Hole, Book of Moon, and Monster Reborn. Just really good cards, and especially Dark Hole and Book of Moon, because they're able to help us out Thunder King Ryo, which is really detrimental to this deck because it turns off our Dragon Ravines. And then after that, we're going to be playing 1 Pot of Avarice. I really like Avarice in this deck just because we cycle through so many monsters in our extra deck, especially Vajrayana, and being able to recycle them along with cards like our Dux or Legionnaire, and then draw 2 cards is really great, especially in the mid to late game after we've exhausted so many resources. So yeah, I really do like this card. Typically, though, if you can, do not shuffle back your tuners. You want to keep them in your grave. So yeah, just keep that in mind. And then for our final spell, we're playing the 1 Future Fusion. So unlike with Disaster Dragon, this card isn't as important, and that's why we're not playing a bunch of cards like Duality or Upstart to try and search this card like as consistently as possible. It's pretty much just there as like a win more, or not even that. It just like it helps push you over the edge so much to where like it becomes an instant threat with what it can do. So it either sends your phalanxes or your aklyses to fill up your graveyard for your Dux and your Legionnaires. It can send your Red Eyes cards, and then in 2 turns it brings out 5-headed Dragon, which cannot be destroyed by battle except with by light monsters. So yeah, it's just insane what the amount of pressure that this card offers, and I definitely feel like it has like its place in this deck. And then that's it for the spells, but I'm going to go over the traps briefly just because we don't play many. We do play the 2 Solemn Warnings, the 1 Solemn Judgment, the 1 Trap Deshu, and the 1 Torrential. Not much to say, just really generic. And with that, that's the main deck. It's 40 cards like always, and now we can finally move on to the extra deck portion of the deck. Now to kick off the extra deck, we're going to be playing 1 5-headed Dragon, just a really cool card that you need in order to actually, resolve Future Fusion, because this is the only reason why we're able to foolish 5 Dragon-type monsters. And then if it comes to the field, obviously it's a threat, but it's easily outed by spells and traps. or light monsters if they have an honest, which of course they always do. But yeah, this card is just, it's really cool, and it pretty much just allows us to have like an extra dimension to the type of plays that we can make with our deck. And that's it for the fusions or Xyz. We don't play anything else. Everything else is literally just synchro monsters. So we're gonna start off with one TG Hyper Librarian. This card honestly isn't really made all that often. It's mainly just if you have like a phalanx engrave and you have a legionnaire, you make this, and then you can deter your opponent from synchro summoning, because then you get a free draw every time. But if it does survive the turn, at minimum, you're going to be drawing 2 cards, because you have your Dragunity Vajrayana to draw off of this, and then you're going to have like your level 8 or whatever you make. So yeah, this card is like really cool in this deck, but it's not made all that often. And then you play the one of ally just as Catastor, because it's Catastor, and it's really good at just getting rid of big threats like BLS or just whatever may be in your way. And then after that, kicking off the level 6s, we have the one Bryonic Dragon of the Ice Barrier. Pretty cool card. Not much to say. It's staple in literally every single extra deck. Even if you can't make it, you never know when the situation comes up, or you'll reborn like a Plague Spreader or something, and you just make this. Along with the one Orient Dragon, because it's Orient Dragon. But unlike Bryonic, Orient is really cool because it's actually a Dragon type 2. So if you make Orient Dragon as like your level 6 synchro play, you can banish it for your Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon and just continue on with like your combos, right? So it's just like it being a Dragon type does like help out a lot. And then after that, we played 3 Dragunity Knight Vajrayana. Just like Dux, when this card is synchro summoned, you can target a level 3 or lower Dragunity monster in your graveyard and equip it to this. And you pretty much just always want to get phalanx just so you can go straight into your level 8s. We don't care about the other effect where you can double this card's attack, just because going into level 8s is literally like the main reason for this. But it does come up sometimes where like you just send, or you put aklys equipped to it, and you send aklys. So you get to pop a card, and then you double this card's attack until the end of this turn, and it becomes 3,800, and sometimes that is just enough to win the game. So yeah, this card's really important. It's the best monster in the extra deck by far. When we play one Black Rose Dragon, you're probably never going to summon this, but you don't want to be like caught with your pants down or whatever. So yeah, one Black Rose. We play one Thought Ruler Archfiend, just a cool level 8 that pretty much negates any spell or trap that targets this. And then it's also a great way to regain life points, because any monster it destroys, you gain that much life as its attack. So yeah. And then we play 2 Scrap Dragons. Since we play a bunch of like Vajrayanas to get into access to our level 8s, I decided to go with 2 instead of 1, just because it's really easy to make this card. And Scrap Dragon is like extremely powerful, like deceptively powerful. So, and there's like a lot of really cool interactions that you can make too. So you can go like Scrap Dragon, pop an aklys that's equipped to one of your monsters. And so Scrap Dragon gets to destroy a card, and then aklys will activate to destroy another card. And even then, like you'll always have something like a Dragon's Ravine. So if you're like low on resources, but Scrap Dragon will win you the game, you can just destroy your field spell and their card. And yeah, this card's great. And then lastly, we're going to end it with 3 Stardust Dragons. If you're going first and you don't know what your opponent is playing, just insta make Stardust Dragon. If you're going into the late game and you know your opponent can only win if they top deck like a Dark Hole or Mirror Force, make Stardust Dragon. If you're trying to stop your like summons for the next turn from being destroyed by like Tarantula or something, make Stardust Dragon. Yeah, this card's just fantastic, and it's definitely not needed at 3, but I feel like you should be playing it at 3, just because like the protection that it offers you is honestly insane. So yeah, there's not really much of a reason not to, if I'm being honest. But if you want to play something like a Colossal Fighter or a Red Dragon Archfiend, Black Winged Dragon, whatever, be my guest. But yeah, with that, that's the deck. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys next time. See ya!